I need a rock star and a package of cheese sticks. Stat. Biker!
Rider up!
Hey everybody, I'm Mike Levy and I'm here with Kona's Process 153 CRDL. Now it's got quite the name, but it's also got quite the interesting story too. Now, Kona introduced new school geometry back in 2013. That was 5 long years ago and a lot has changed since then. And now, the revamped Process range brings carbon to the Process big wheeler. So the new bike comes with internal routing, like a lot of bikes these days, and a water bottle mount inside the frame. Now, there's more to that story than just that though, because it's one of the big reasons that Kona redesigned the Process frame. They used to drive the shock this way, and it didn't leave a lot of room for a water bottle. Now the shock is vertical. Now they've done all that last year, and this is a new model for 2019. Carbon front triangle, looks super burly, super thick looking rocker arm here. Carbon seat stays as well, but Kona's gone with aluminum chain stays, much more reliable. Carbon chain stays don't save a bunch of weight, so they went with aluminum there. It makes a lot of sense. So we get to the angles now. Up front, it's 66 degrees. Now that's a touch steeper than some of their competitors, but it's definitely still in the ballpark. But seat angle, 76 degrees. Now that is nice and steep, and it's going to be a godsend on the climbs for a bike like this. Another number that's worth checking out are the chain stays. They sit 425 with a 29-inch wheel. That's a nice short number for a bike that likes to play around. Now Kona has reach numbers that we used to think were enormous, but that was back in 2013. This medium, 450 reach, and the large is a 475. Now both of those numbers are similar to what a lot of forward-thinking companies are using now. Now they've also kept a 51mm offset fork, while a lot of other companies are going to 44, but remember that's only part of the package, so all these numbers have to come together. Moving to the back of the bike, Kona's gone with a linkage-driven single pivot, just like they've always used, and it's about as gimmick-free as it's gonna get. Suspension is rock shocks, front and back. There's a Lyric on the front with a Charger 2 damper. It's a little more adjustable damper. And out back, we have a Rock Shock Super Deluxe. So this one is the Fancy Pants CRDL, and it goes for $5,999. Now for that amount of money, you're getting aluminum wheels, which I think a lot of people are gonna like on a bike like this. You're gonna get carbon cranks though, and you're gonna get an X01 drivetrain. Kona has wisely spec'd a set of Code RSC brakes with big rotors. 29-inch wheels, 160mm up front, 153 in the back. It's a big bike, not in terms of size, but it has a lot of presence on the trail, so I expected it to climb kind of clumsily, but that's not the case at all, is it?
It's not. It climbs incredibly well for what it is. It's really supportive the whole way through the climbing, especially when you get on the pedals. It wants to stand up a little bit and get you up and over everything without squatting down and sinking into the travel. Yeah,
great on-power feel. It just kind of gives it a little more life, and then the handling and the big wheels, I think the whole package together, surprisingly, when you're faced with a really technical climb or something that requires a lot of grunt, it works well.
Yeah, it kind of just wants to get up and get through stuff way better than I ever expected it would. So as far as suspension setup goes, ran 30 and then about 35% of sag. I found that 35 was a little bit better for this bike. So the Process has a really short chainstay. It's 425, and even with that while climbing, didn't feel like I was way over the back of the bike at all. You know, it kind of felt centered on the bike and able to get up through turns. Nothing like I was about to manual out or turtle shell while I was going up anything steep.
I think that's down to that steep seat angle, which really hides those short chainstays.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. It gets you over the center of the bike right where you need to be to go uphill.
Yeah, but at the same time, those short chainstays, it really lets that bike fit into a lot of places on the trail that maybe it wouldn't otherwise if it was a longer bike.
Absolutely. I found myself getting through some turns that, you know, maybe I'd have a dab or, you know, take a stroke and not be able to get through on longer bikes, but the process.
I saw you dabbing all the other times.
Yeah, I saw you dab too.
No, I didn't dab. Cut. You know, if you're on a bike like this, climbing isn't your main priority. But if it is, then this bike does it well. That short rear end, it makes for a bike that the front end comes up easy. You could just really slam it into corners. It's always wanting to pop over everything. We rode a lot of different bikes on our test loop, and I think I was in the air and manualing while I was on the Kona more than any other bike. You know, you could ride it fast, of course, but I think the main goal of this thing and its whole personality is just focusing on fun.
It's a solid ride going down the hill. You don't feel like you're going to get thrown offline or anything else, and you know it's up for anything you point it at.
The playfulness that we talk about, I think a lot of that also comes from the bike's suspension. It's not a bike that, even when you're in it 35% of the travel, it doesn't feel like you're sitting that deep into the bike's travel. It's It feels like you're always at the top of the travel, and it makes it easy to pick the bike up off the ground and make it do things that maybe you could do on other bikes, but they take a little bit more effort. I think one of the biggest pros for me is that it is a surprisingly adept climber. The other thing is it's more fun than fast, and that's really important to me. I want a bike that I have fun on. I'm not always about the fastest line. I kind of want to take the dumbest line sometime. I want to take the line that other people aren't taking, and this is a bike that when I'm on it, I feel like I do that more often than on other bikes, and that's a plus to me. This might be the most rigid, stiffest bike of all the bikes here. You know, we're not testing these things on lab machines or anything, but just riding this thing down the trail, the bike everything just feels like it's in line, it's solid, and it's ready to go. It's not a bike that feels super deep and super forgiving, even at 35% sag. Depending on how you ride, that's either a pro or a con. For me, it's a pro. For a lot of other people, it might be a con. You said it's not a race bike. I mean, lots of people could race on this bike,
yeah, totally.
Of course. But when you say that, what exactly do you mean?
Well, with the short rear end and everything, it just doesn't feel quite as stable as some other bikes out there when you really get it up to speed and you're going through rough stuff. Not to say by any means that you couldn't race it, but there's other bikes that may be a little bit better suited for that. It doesn't have that just point and shoot and plow and just, you know, full-on haul ass down the side of the mountain that a race bike does. It does come with a little bit of a weight penalty. It's 31.7, just under 32 pounds, which is more than some bikes in that category.
Yeah, it also doesn't ride that heavy, does it? It feels lighter when you're riding, and even on the climbs, you know, it feels like it's on par with everything else weight-wise, but it's worth mentioning it is a pound or two heavier than some other options. So the Kona brand has always had a nonchalant, kind of no f***s given attitude, and I think the Process 153 exemplifies that. It's not an enduro race bike, but it's a bike that can be ridden super fast regardless, but it's all about fun.
All right, so there you have it, Process 153.29.
Stay tuned for more videos and more bike tests from the Pinkbike field test.